Hello, a very good evening to everyone who's joining in to our program, Building Industry-Ready Quality Automation Engineers. I am Tivanka, a member of the marketing team here at Zone 24/7, and I am going to be the moderator for the program today. So today we are going to cover an important topic, quality engineering. And to tell you more about this program in detail, I've got two experienced learned colleagues of mine here at Zone 24/7. So let me do an introduction to them first. First, we have Lalindra Munasinghe, who is heading the staff augmentation program here at Zone 24/7. Welcome, Lalindra. And then we have Chandi Matapattu, our QA head, again here at Zone 24/7. Hi, Chandima, how is it going?
Hi, Jonathan. Thank you. Good.
All right, so we are going to cover an interesting topic, and it's good to see such a large number joining in. And let's not keep them waiting, right? So let's try to give them the content that they are after. So I'm going to start with Lalindra first. Lalindra, what is QE 24/7, and what is this excitement is about?
Well, Tivanka, thank you for having me here. So let me first answer your second part of the question. What is it there to be excited about? Well, this is the first time in Sri Lanka that we offer QE engineering as a service, right? That's one end of the story. So for companies who want QE engineering as a service, we offer that under the umbrella brand of QA 24/7. On the other hand, this is the first time in Sri Lanka that we convert a quality assurance professional into a quality engineering profession. Now, Chandima later in this discussion will explain the difference between the quality assurance professional and a quality engineering professional.
Okay, so that actually is very promising, and I look forward to the entire session. I myself have a few questions with me as well. So what was the need of the market for such a service, Lalindra?
Well, Tivanka, we saw the market need from two ends or two fronts. One is from the customer side and the other one is from the skill supply side.
Okay, that's very interesting. So let me first ask you about the skill supply side of this QE 24/7 program.
Yeah, Tivanka, it's very good because it's very good to try and answer what is the need from a skill supplies point of view of this service, because there's a large group of professionals, students, undergrads who are joining this discussion, right? So for all aspiring engineers, I can summarize this in one word: employability. Okay, this is where we migrate you from a conventional quality assurance professional to a quality engineering professional. Now I'll tell you a story. We all know what happened to the typists, right? With the arrival of computers, everybody became obsolete because previously they were conventional typists. Now with the arrival of computers, you had to be a computer typist. Very few people had the skill, right? Now we work with a lot of major US Silicon Valley based clients, and there are a lot of projects that we run internally. Now for these projects we obviously need a lot of QA engineers. Now part of the process is actually most of these engineers are also interviewed by these overseas clients. Now what we've seen is that most of these promising engineers, these are good engineers, most of these promising engineers fail in these in client interviews. Now when we analyzed what is really going on and what are the main reasons as to why these quality assurance professionals are getting rejected by these clients, we saw two things. I mean, of course, many reasons, but when you actually group it, we could see two visible problems. One is either the engineers had only quality assurance process knowledge, did not have automation knowledge, or the other way is either they only had the automation knowledge and not necessarily the quality assurance process knowledge. So these are the main reasons as to why these engineers were getting rejected at these client interviews. Now,
so
that's the reason for this.
Yeah, I'm interrupting you for 1 second.
Sure.
So you mean to say more than 90% of the candidates who come in for these interviews, and they actually failed when it comes to the client interview.
Yeah,
Aren't
I'll
they?
give you some statistics.
Right. Okay.
Last
So
quarter, we had about 60.
there's more to my question, Lalindra. Hold on.
Okay.
Right. So you mean to say the people who are actually coming out from some of the top-notch universities with a university degree and still they tend to fail? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I'll give you some statistics, realistic statistics. Last quarter, we looked at about, I think we had about 63 plus QA or QA interviews. Only 2 got selected. Everybody else just failed. Can you believe this?
Only 2.
Only 2.
Okay,
Right now,
that is
because
interesting.
and I have some of these interviews, Tivanka, had, you know, these countries, like for an example, there was this particular Canadian company last week. They had 5 QA professionals sitting in that interview interview panel. Right now, I'll tell you, there's a reason for this. What happens to most of the engineering students who aspire to be QA engineers? What do? The biggest, obviously, everybody wants to get into a top-notch company, right? I mean, with a highest paid salary in your first appointment itself. That's okay. That's no problem there, right? But they ignore the most important factor in joining your first company. That is, the first thing you should ask is, how many learning cycles am I going to complete in this company? Now, you know, any profession has learning cycles, right? If you take HR, there are so many learning cycles: talent acquisitions, performance management, recruitment, training and development, payroll management. These are all little areas, operational sites, where, you know, you have to complete these learning cycles. You know, you should know how to do this end to end. Now, knowing how to do these little activities end to end is called learning cycles. Now, in quality engineering also, you have this similar kind of learning cycles. Now, the faster you complete these learning cycles, the more faster you move in your career, right? What happens is, the moment you only join a company only based on salary, you know, and you basically have to compromise your career development at a later stage, because most of these companies, you know, your scope will be very limited. Like, you know, maybe it's one domain, one particular piece of one particular aspect of quality assurance. So you can see the common grievance, common complaint that comes from most of the engineers. I mean, even here in this forum, most of them must be feeling that I am so stagnant in my quality assurance career, right? And this is nothing new. Okay.
Right. So, Lalin, that's a pretty interesting statement, in the sense even I got surprised that how many number of people come in. So I think now you have set the stage for me to ask this question from Chandima. So Chandima, like Lalindra correctly mentioned towards the end, so there seems to be this gap between the people who actually leave the academics and when they come to the industry, right? So I would like to know from you, like, since you are a quality engineering or quality assurance professional for a number of years, you've been there, you handled the cases, and you're of course the person who's going to spearhead this particular program to support the freshers, the graduates, and the beginners to become industry ready, right? Why do you think that there is a need for a business ready engineer, and how do you plan to take this forward?
Yes, Tivanka. Yes. Welcome you everyone. Right. So now the simple answer for this, Tivanka, is actually at this very moment, most of our QA engineers they are not ready, business ready today. Right. So I will give you why they are not business ready now. Right. In current days. Before that, I would like to give some background about how this QA is evolved. Right. So now the perception of QA engineers are like far less technical than developers, right? Like engaged primarily with manual testing, right? So this is more suited to early days of QA, like early 2000s, right? Where this waterfall development is like the first choice of software development, right? So most of the QA engineers, like Lalindra mentioned, like specialized in either manual testing, or some of them specialized in automation testing, right? So, but they are not business ready now because of key things, right? Number one is that the complexity of solutions, Tivanka, right? The solution complexity is far higher when compared to 20 years back, right? Because of these evolving technologies, for an example, artificial intelligence, where we are having many predictions happening, right? Many data analysis happening, right? And when it comes to Internet of Things, IoT is far more evolving, right? Because of these things, the complexity of the solutions are higher, right? The other aspect is this increased usage of agile and DevOps practice, right? So that we like 99% projects happening with agile now, because our customers need solutions far quickly, right? They cannot wait like months and months and years to see their product.
Limited project timelines, tough deliveries and all that, right?
Exactly, Divankar. Yes. So because of this, we have to move from quality assurance to quality engineering, right? So for that, we need full stack quality engineers, right? So those are the engineers who are working on all aspects of quality, right? So in different applications layers, like from the code level, the integration, then the UI, right? And also we'll deal with both functionality and also the non-functionality aspect, right? So it's a rich mix in domain skill, the technical skill, right? And also the testing expertise, right? So that's how, Tivanka, we are making them business ready, right? And meet them the industry expectations, right?
So you are, in simple terms, you are not just putting out just another quality assurance or quality engineering professional, but you are going to make someone who is ready to take on any challenge in any business domain. So they do have the business acumen and also the technical expertise that is required to play this particular role. Okay, this is getting really interesting.
Yes,
right. Now I'm again switching back to Lalindra. What is this noise about this being the first time in Sri Lanka? What is the difference, Lalindra?
So Tivanka, before I answer your question, let me give you an example. What if I come and tell you, right, in an interview, right, I have 45 years of experience in walking, or I have 45 years of experience in sleeping, right? You're going to laugh at me, right? This is exactly what happens in interviews, right? Most of the quality engineers, they come and tell us something similar to that. They've been doing the same old thing over and over and over, and they think that's experience. Now, what we as industry professionals, what we look in these engineers is something far beyond. Actually, we check their exposure levels. How many aspects in quality assurance or quality engineering are they exposed to? Now, this is why this is not just any other training. This is why this is the first time in Sri Lanka that we ensure that a quality assurance engineer is converted into a quality engineer, meaning we will expose these aspiring engineers into multiple aspects and multiple learning cycles, and within a shorter span of time we will ensure that these engineers complete these learning cycles with hands-on exposure, right? The word is hands-on. Now you can say this is something like a commando type QE training or QA training, right? Now in fact, my company Zone can actually afford to do this, because Zone is one of those few companies that deal with large Silicon Valley clients in multiple domains. So you can imagine a company like that, the kind of test cases we have in each domain, the kind of major learnings we have from each domain are quite vast. So we can actually expose these young engineers into these different scenarios and help them get them up to speed into their quality assurance exposure levels, right? And also, we inside Zone, we actually have this culture where we are not talking about upskilling engineers. These are conventional words actually. We are only talking about industry ready or business ready engineers. Now I'll give you another example. All of my existing full stack guys, we have a program where we upskill them into Golang. Golang is, we see, it's something industry requirement right now. So all of my guys are now being put under Golang training, right? So this also, likewise, this incubation or this training program is that kind of training that gives you hands-on activity based course, right? And also the next thing, the differentiator is we have quite a large QA department, and we have certain experts in each one of these artifacts, right? So each segment of this training is done by one of these experts. So for an example, if you want a certain expertise from a particular tool, We have the expert for that. So this is an in-depth industry tested process knowledge and hands-on activity based training program. That's why we call it a first time in Sri Lanka.
Yeah. And also I heard that you have a quite large number of quality engineers who are certified with ITQSB certification.
That's right, Tivak. Actually, we have, to tell you, we have the best of the best. I can tell you that.
All right, that's very nice. So once again, moving towards Chandima, I think Chandima is eyeing to tell something really interesting about this program. Okay, when we talk about this particular training or the incubation program, and I heard you saying when you were giving your explanation earlier that we are moving from quality assurance or QA that we all know, that I've also heard, me being in the industry for some time, towards quality engineering or QE. So what is this difference and why there is a sudden shift in the dimensions?
Yeah, Devanka. Actually, this is they are in the industry for some time, right? But now, as quality engineers, that we have to understand, maybe few of us as Q engineers, right? We need to understand this rapid pace of change, right, in the development. So if we think about the way that we are doing, ensuring and assuring the quality of the solutions passed, it's more reactive approach, Devanka, right? So that's where like every engineer, tester, that they are engaging in a certain level of the software development, right? So that they are dealing identifying the defects, the issues at the latter part of the solution, right? So it's more reactive, but that is not going to work now, right? So we have to be proactive, right? That's where the quality engineering differs, right? So we have to be more collaboration with our developers, especially, right? And also from requirement to delivery, right? So that's where this quality engineering comes. That is what industry identify, right? So still we are assuring the quality, but we are assuring the quality proactively, right? We are reducing the waste of rework, bug fixing, right? So that's the way forward for us going forward in future. So that's why we need to become the quality engineers by knowing proactively about things, rather we just doing a testing by looking at a specification at the outcome, right? We need to be more vigilant on and we have to be have some more awareness about the solution, right? So
Chandima, I actually like what you said, being proactive versus reactive. I think if you look outside, we have enough more cases where being reactive can cause chaos, right? So definitely, I actually like that.
Yes. Because by being reactive, we cannot sustain this quality with these rapid complexities and this rapid development. We have to be proactive. There is no other way, right? So the other main point is, Tivanka, that the productivity and efficiency, how we should increase our productivity and the efficiency, right? So that's where this automation comes, right? So now when we think about automation, there are many tools, frameworks available in industry, like hundreds, thousands even, right? But we need to know how we use automation, right? What type of framework or strategy that we should put into that certain solution, right? So that continuous testing is a key pillar of this quality engineering, right? So that with that aspect, but every quality engineer have to know about automation, otherwise they cannot sustain, right? So we will discuss more about them in the training as well, right? When it comes to that.
Yeah, I look forward to that, Chandima, to talk more about what you have to offer and what you plan to offer.
Ivanka, I actually want to add something here. So the difference, one of the main differences between a QA and a QE is a QA only has either process knowledge or automation knowledge, but a QE has both equally. That's I think from a business perspective, that's what we see as the main differentiator. QE is, or QE quality engineer is somebody who is equipped with both these aspects, but a QA is somebody who only has either or.
Right. Thank you, Lalendra, for that. And okay, so in a nutshell, what I understood is that this shift or this change is going to make a positive impact on the entire spectrum of software testing procedure with the modern way of assuring software quality. So that's what I understand.
Yes, Tivankar. Yeah.
And again, Chandima, can I ask you to tell me more about the audience that is your program is intended to, your incubation or training program, and what kind of training that you plan to provide during the initiative?
Yes, Tivankar, yes. Now, this training having two phases, right? The first phase is this theory and the hands-on, right? And the second phase is the project exposure, right? So when it comes to the first phase, where we are giving certain theory and the hands-on, that consists two parts. One is the process knowledge, right? Not the process knowledge that we are, we practice for a decade, right? Like when it comes to the traditional way of doing testing, but the process related to the quality engineering, how you should equip it and laid out your strategy to the modern way of software development, right? That is a knowledge that many of our quality assurance engineers nowadays, they don't have that, right? So without that knowledge, without that foundation, they cannot really, sustain and survive with the current world, right? So the second part is the test automation in the training, right? So we will provide automation training and hands-on experience with multiple frameworks and tools, right? So that our trainees, they can have multiple options with their training, so that they are not really eyeing with certain tool or strategy where he or she will apply everywhere, right? That is not going to meet that expectation. So we will provide multiple options so that they can identify what's the best solution for that, right? When it comes to automation. So those are the two main areas that we are going to address in this training, Tivankar, right? And then comes to the phase two, where this project exposure, right? So project exposure, so that they can apply what they learn in the training and give some meaningful outcome from that project, right? So that they are having this industry project background and also some meaningful outcome from their work in the project, right? So that they are more equipped to face the future needs and future clients, right? So after this successful training, Tivankar, we will, like Lalindra mentioned, we will assure the employability, right? And also we are building full stack quality engineers with this, right? So that's the objective here, right?
So thank you, Chandima. So that means you're showing them the path, and also you're ensuring that they have the stepping stones to pursue their career. So that's very interesting. So to everyone who's joining in today, we are talking about building industry-ready quality automation engineers, and joining with me today we have Lalindra and also Chandima, who are experts in this business. And for everyone who had thrown in a lot of questions through the registration, we are going to cover them during the Q&A session. And if you are having any questions at the moment, please do type it in the chat box. We will pick them up towards the end of the session. So coming back to Chandima, thank you for explaining that what type of content and what's the audience that you are going to target. And now I have the feeling, okay, why this is the first time in Sri Lanka and how it is going to work out. And to anyone who's interested in joining, they can wait till the end. So we are going to share more details so they can enroll and explore this opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Lalindra, I can see you smiling because so I'm going to catch you next. So we have now spoken about the skill demand, like you earlier mentioned, of QE 24/7. Can we now move towards the customer side of QE 24/7?
Of course, Tivankar. So, at a very basic, let's ask this question, right? So at a very, very basic level, given the context of IT and software industry, what do customers look for, right? What are the basic things they're looking for? Number one, they want to, launch a very user-friendly product, right? Second one is that, you want that product to be secure. Third is that you want to launch that product as soon as possible, because you know every company is trying to outrun the competition because they want to stay ahead of the game. Now, ask me the question, which role in IT companies play this critical role, right? This vital role. Obviously, undoubtedly, it's the QA or the QE department. Now, the question is, for companies to have this kind of product, user-friendly, secure product to be launched as soon as possible, one machinery you have to have is the internal quality assurance department or quality assurance ecosystem, right? Now, when I say quality assurance department, it has to have two characters. One is it has to be quite robust in terms of the kind of the holistic capability or the testing capability it has, like end to end. Now, what we hear from most of the engineers is that companies try to take a shortcut. They try to get the software engineers to do the testing itself, right? Now, this is not going to work, because what companies should be looking at is more holistic testing. And also, not only you should be having holistic testing, but also you should be having some form of continuity in that whole process, right? You can't have sudden breakdowns, because then your whole timelines go for a toss, right? Now, how do companies actually try to maintain their, this holistic, continual quality assurance ecosystem? They do quite conventional ways of, they actually employ quite conventional ways of doing it. Either the company tries to have too much of engineers, obviously, which is not going to be very profitable, because you're going to increase your cost, or you are going to actually invest in a lot of tools, right? Now, these are two different two extremes of the whole scenario. Now, what we've seen is both these scenarios have failed in the market from what we hear from the client's talk, right? I have met clients who actually have a lot of QA engineers. I have met clients who have few QA engineers with a lot of tools. Both these ends have failed. Now, this is because when a particular engineer leaves, or there's something, some engineer leaves, obviously the company has to now recruit a new person, and then wait that until that person catches up with the kind of work that the previous person has left off. This takes about easily 2 to 3 months, if not, I've seen on average about 3 to 4 months, right? So until such time the company actually has to pay the salaries and all that, right? So what we actually offer is something very different, because by having your own QA department has some inherent challenges.
Thank you, Lalindra. So, in a nutshell, there are two extreme ends where a company seems to be, trying to get into when they have a problem in this nature. And you, of course, mentioned these challenges. So, what are the common challenges, in your opinion, when they try to set up their in-house quality assurance or quality engineering team?
Tivanka, if not all customers, I think most of the customers will say yes, Lalindra, to what I'm about to say, right? The biggest problem right now we have is quality assurance engineer churn or attrition. They leave companies, which is okay. Which is basically a reality in the market, right? So what happens is, the moment that happens, the company who is actually involved in a particular release or a product development, the entire timeline goes for a toss. Their budgets go for a toss, right? So this is a reality in the market, right? There are so many clients who come to us and say, you're exactly right, and this is exactly what we face right now. Second thing is, not only the engineers are leaving, but also the companies are finding it very difficult to find capable, suitable engineers. Now, this doesn't mean that there are no quality assurance professionals in the market. There are multiples. But the problem is, the type of professional you need in your particular project is the question. So it's quality versus numbers, right? Third thing is, any company, their quality assurance capability is dependent upon the type of skill levels, type of engineers they have inside in the organization, or the type of tools they have in the organization. So which is a very limited thing, right? Because if you take a typical, now for you to have a good product, for you to have a robust product, you have to have a robust quality assurance setup. Now, this depends, I mean, for you to have, when the moment you have a robust quality assurance setup, your test coverage is quite wide. You have a very in-depth process of in-depth mechanism of testing the quality. So all these variables are dependent upon the type of engine you have and the type of tools you employ in your own in-house quality assurance setup, right? Now the problem is, it's not practical for companies to have all the best engineers in your company or all the best tools in your company, right? This is not going to work. So obviously every company, depending on on the budget, depending on the size of the company, obviously the companies have to make a judgmental call or a business call, the kind of QA setup you're going to have. Fourth one is, it's not practical for these companies to also have all the necessary compliances under their belt, right? Because I mean, if you take compliances like HIPAA or PCI DSS certification or some of these compliances, it's not practical for them to spend money or waste time or effort on obtaining this from scratch. This is why it's more logical to partner with a company like us to go and have your QA setup in our or outsource your QA setup into a professional company like us, right? So what we bring in is that we bring a nice balance between the people and the tools, where we try to harmonize this and offer a hybrid solution to the clients.
Thank you, Lalindra. And once again, I'm throwing a very direct question at you. So why should a business consider your service, and what makes you different?
Okay, why should a business consider my service? In Sri Lanka, we are the only company that does this QE as a service. Okay, so if it's a company that has that wants to basically fast track your product releases, or if you're a company who wants to basically it's not feasible for you to have your own QA setup or QE setup, these are the companies that should actually come to us. Why? Because one thing is, Zone 24/7 operates in multiple industry domains and multiple verticals. We have large amounts of these domain knowledges, right? And we have the best of the best engineers inside Zone, these quality engineers, right? And think of it as like a set of specialists performing a very complex surgery, right? We have specialists for each type of artifact. So this is why a company should actually come and work with us.
Thank you, Lalindra. So you gave an understanding of what makes you different and why you consider yourself is first time in Sri Lanka. So can you be more specific on what are the type of businesses or type of customers who can benefit from this QE 24/7 quality engineering as a service?
Well, we have three specific types of clients. Number one segment is the companies who have frequent quality engineers leaving their company, right? If you face frequent staff attrition, especially in the quality department, they should come and talk to us, because we can help them for sure, right? Because we can now, for such companies, they don't have to wait for 2-3 months until the new engineer comes up to speed. They can start immediately with us, and we can pick up from where the previous person left off, right, in a very shorter time span. Second type of company is companies who are looking to scale up their operation, right? Either it can be you're going to scale up their product or solution, and you want actually a rapid scalability in terms of your quality assurance department. They should come and talk to us. Third one is tech startups, where it's not, you're as a tech startup, it's not feasible for you to have your own quality assurance department. You'd rather work with a company like us, where we will help you to ensure that your product is a quality product. Then fourth category is these non-tech companies who time to time require quality engineering services from companies like us.
So I see two interesting segments that you covered, like tech startups and the companies who are non-technical. I believe they are one of those businesses that would be getting the highest amount of benefit from such a program, because when you talk about a startup, they are just getting themselves up. Sometimes they are very disorganized and they don't have enough processes running, and they have very limited time to put their product into the market because they have spent, now they want to earn it. And when you talk about the non-tech businesses, like there are big giants or big uh, companies out there who are very methodological, very conventional, but when it comes to adapting technology, they find themselves, questioning, are we doing the correct thing, or how are we going to do it? So I believe, in my opinion, Lalindra, this is a very good initiative, and this of course can cause a lot of positive impact for such businesses. And uh, interesting conversation. And now, to everyone who's joining in today, I would like to take a moment to say thank you for sending us those questions that you submitted when you registered for this webinar. We heard you, and we are trying to cover those questions in a little while as much as possible. There were a number of questions. Am I correct, Lalindra, Chandima? There were so many number of questions, and even now I started getting questions. So let me, so we discussed a lot about our quality engineering and quality assurance as a service model. And I believe that everyone who has joined in now has an idea, have an idea of what QE 24/7 is going to be and what it has to offer to you. So let us now slowly move into the usual Q&A session. So are you guys ready?
Yes, Tivanka, of course.
Right. So let me take some of the questions that I received live during the session. So first, Malik, thank you. They're just picking themselves up. Sometimes they are very disorganized and they don't have enough processes running, and they have very limited time to put their product into the market because right. I think that was a small technical difficulty. So let me take some of these questions. Malik, thank you so much for asking the questions. So one question Malik actually asked is, what is the difference between quality assurance engineering and software quality assurance engineering? And he also had asked another question. This is about the registration process, whether there is a timetable or what is the way of entering. So we will get to that part right when we are concluding this program. We are going to share the information where you can actually join this program and get your knowledge up to that level. So what is this difference between quality assurance engineering and software quality assurance engineering?
Yeah. Tivanka, actually, we are talking about software quality engineering, right? So when we talking because we are in the IT, we are talking with the IT spectrum, right? So if we are moving out of the whole IT part, we are, many different organizations, many different companies, they do quality assurance, right? That is actually to ensure the quality, right? So when it comes to software quality assurance, actually we are talking about ensuring the quality of the software, right? So when we are ensuring the quality of the software, we have to look at not only the software but the associated environment. So that's where this non-functionality comes as well, right? So that's the main difference, right? So actually, in our context, we are not even limited to software. Even we are looking to the firmware level as well, right? But majority is the software, right? So that's the main difference, Tivanka. I hope Malik can clarify the correction there.
Thank you, Chandim. I think you gave a wonderful explanation as to what's the difference between the term quality assurance engineering and software quality assurance. And we've already answered this second question. So we are going to share the information on how to enroll in this program. There are more questions coming in. Chamod Nirmala had again directed the question to me. How many people do you expect to enroll in this program? And what are the minimum qualifications you look for? I think that is an interesting question.
Yeah. Actually, we have to go with some restriction when we are dealing with the training, because we have to make sure that we have to conduct this, we have to do the evaluation, right? so that we cannot go unlimited in the batch. So because of that, we will limit to certain number in each training, but definitely we are planning to do several batches within a financial year, right? So that whoever cannot join immediately, maybe they will be selected for the next one, which will happening after a few months time again, right? So whole training duration, we are looking at like 2 months, Tivanka and Chamo, right? So that is like 2 months, and after one batch is completed, we will not start one by one again and again, but definitely we will do several per year, right? Like one per quarter, like that. So definitely we will keep you in the in our database, and we will pick you based on the priority and all that, right? So I think Tivanka, I answered all the questions, right?
Yes, thank you.
You answered one last question there. In
the minimum qualification, yes.
Yeah, the minimum qualification, yes. A computer science degree would be a minimum qualification, right? So it could be a computer science or software engineering or information technology, whatever a bachelor's degree would be a minimum qualification, because we are expecting certain level of education, right? So that we can continue from there on, right? So that's the only qualification I would say, right? So the applicants might have internship experience, may not have internship experience. That's okay, right? That's all right.
And I'm adding a little more to the same question, Chandiman and Lalindra.
Yeah.
When you say computer science or information technology related qualification, can someone who is an undergraduate apply for this program?
There is no restriction, Tivanka, but the thing is that we are looking for employability full-time soon after the training, right? Okay. So that undergraduates might have to go back to their university as well. So whoever they are willing to continue with us, I think they certainly can join. So that's we will do interview, casual chat, and see how is their commitment, their availability, right? So that we can arrange a good option there.
Actually, I would like to add this. Remember, I was talking about, the whole purpose of this training is to make sure that these engineers complete multiple learning cycles, right? So one of the ways of doing that is during the training, we will do that. Also, there will be extensive project work, and we will involve them in our real projects, right? So I can tell you quite confidently that now after the whole training, we actually do a certification. We will issue a formal certificate, and after that, whoever who performs very well in the training, we will absorb them into our employment also. Is one of the differentiators in this.
And also Tivanka and Lalindra and the audience. So not only the freshers, right? So whoever who are just new to the industry, who having like 1 year or 2 year experience and just stepping to the quality assurance track, they can join with us, they can expand the knowledge, right? And they can continue their career with us after the successful training as well. So that door is open for them too. So I'd like to remind that as well.
And also, I got many inquiries or calls from the quality assurance professionals who are only familiar with manual testing, and they were asking, these are very good engineers, and they were asking, hey, you know what, I'm stagnant in my career, how do I move forward? So because they also realize that automation is a major skill that you need to have anyways. It's not that whether you should have, it's actually you must have automation. So what this training does is, what this incubation training does is that it will give you, for sure, it will give you hands-on automation exposure with real world projects.
Yeah, and there is this myth, Lalindra, that is in both ways. Certain people think that QA is only automation, right? And so that is not correct, as like we mentioned in the beginning. It's like the known process, right? And that foundation, and with the automation, it will make an all-round quality engineer with that other non-functional testing abilities and all, right? And also, like you mentioned, it's not only manual test. So it's now actually we are talking about full stack quality engineering, right? So we can't really have someone like dedicated to something. So that's the level that we are trying to achieve.
I can give you a real, general life example. The difference between a normal soldier and a commando. normal soldiers, they are only, experts in certain areas, but a commando is, they can actually survive in any terrain, right? So what we're actually trying to do is, we are trying to create a platoon of commandos in quality domain.
Yeah.
Thank you, both of you. And we are getting more questions. And to everyone who's joining in our program today, please start throwing those questions. We want to take them and answer as much as possible today. So Nishad is asking, to enroll, do we need to go through any automation guide if you do not have any experience in automation before enrolling? So,
Yeah,
okay.
it's pretty simple. Actually, we will do some evaluation tests to check it's like, IQ test and a programming basics test, right? So because we just wanted to see how they are knowledge about the aspects, right? So that's only needed. So even though you don't have test automation knowledge, that's not a blocker. As long as you have the commitment, right? And also as long as we are having this understanding about the programming basics, especially the OOP. I think all of us went through OOP in our bachelor's, right? So you need to, as long as you have that clear understanding how you should apply, I think that's not a big deal. You can learn automation with us. That's not a problem.
And a certification that you are going to get towards the end of the program, I think that is something you want to highlight.
You mean about the certification?
Yes.
Yeah, let me take that question actually. So Zone will be actually issuing a certification. And also we are working with a well-known institute that is offering IT degrees to also issue a certificate. In fact, that's being discussed and that's the work in progress. But for sure, Zone 24/7 will issue a certificate after successful completion of the course.
Yes. And there are a few more questions coming up. Okay. Someone is asking about the duration, whether this is a 6 months training, and also someone who's doing an internship at some other place, can also they join the program? So those are two different questions.
Actually, the training that the first part where we are doing certain theory and some hands-on training, that is for 2 months only, right? You don't need to drag it to like 6 months. We will do it with 2 months. That will be enough, right? So that's our plan. And also, whoever the trainee, working somewhere, doing an internship, that's not a blocker, because you can, as long as you can commit some of your extra time to do this training, that's all right. So that we have planned this training in a way that you can complete the training, and once you're successful, then only you will get the employability, right? So that's where you need to become full-time available and get the employment and dedicate your time for that, right? But for the training, as long as you can, join with us and dedicate your time, you can do it.
And Chandima and Lalindra, what is the method of delivery of this program? Is it going to be an on-site training, or is it going to be an online training? So Pilini is the one who's asking that question.
Right. So actually, based on the situation, right, Tivanka, on the country, the on-site training is a very challenging thing. Certainly, we thought about that as well. But there are certain practical issues, right? Then we might limit it to trainees who are surrounded in Colombo, right?
Yes.
So it's not open for other areas in the country, right? So we are going for the remote training, right? So we are going for the remote training, and we will do it in a pace where everybody can do it hands-on live. So that's the main difference in our training, right? So we are not only giving the theory. So our trainers, they are industry experts, right? So they have many years of experience. So they will go with that pace where you also can, learn and do that hands-on with the training, right? Even though it's a remote. So we will, now due to the, other challenges like power cuts and all, but still we recordings and you can watch it.
Yes. And to tell a bit more about Zone 24/7, so we've been operating entirely remote ever since the pandemic, and even before that we had the option as a backup. So still to date, 3 of us are joining from 3 different locations, thanks to the wonderful infrastructure that we have within the organization and the technical capabilities. So to anyone who's like if you are joining from the north or the south of Sri Lanka, and even if there's someone who's joining outside Sri Lanka, this is going to be open for you. You can join in. The location is no longer a challenge, right? So we talk about digital nomads. We working from anywhere. So the program is built in a way that you can access it from basically anywhere within the Earth, not in the moon or the Mars, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so please ask more questions. There are more questions coming in, and let me take one interesting question. This was something that we figured from the questions that they had submitted when they were filling out that registration forum. What is the difference of this particular incubation or the training program from a general internship?
Well, actually, I like to go take a stab at that question. General internships, they have a certain purpose. Obviously, we do also offer internships, but how is it different is this particular incubation training helps you to be a overall quality engineer, a type of engineer that the market needs. Internships generally is they train you to become the type of engineer that the company needs on a particular domain, right? So it's in terms of scope, internships are more narrow. This particular incubation training is more broader and more deeper because it basically helps you to become an industry ready quality assurance automation engineer.
Thank you, Lalindra, for that. And just wanted to make a small announcement. So we are already started getting CVs. Thank you so much for the interest, and we will be receiving them, and we will be getting back to you as soon as possible. Okay. In terms of so this is another question that we pulled out from the questions that we received earlier. What is the job demand is like for quality engineers, and what are the things that I need to be concerned about?
Yeah. I think, Tivanka, in terms of the job demand, it's increasing without a doubt, because like I said earlier, the complexity of the solutions makes that quality is a paramount in that products, right? And also the agile practices we follow, we need to deliver solutions very quickly with a good quality, right? So because of that, quality engineering, ensuring the quality is always there, right? And it's required more and more. Rather, I mean, in 10, 15 years back, we are developing a solution with less client, hassle, with a nice waterfall method, right? So that we are having nice phases, we have time, so that the need of a queue, I mean, is not much compared to now, right? But the need is now, it's very, very high, right? So in terms of the demand, I think it's there. I mean, it's very necessary, right? And also the demand is very high to become that the term that I mentioned, to become that quality engineer, right? So who knows multiple aspects of quality, to become the full stack QE demand is way high, right? So I hope I answered the question.
I would also like to actually add to Chamdima. So the industry is moving towards hybrid engineers who know the process, who also know the automation part. Because I can tell you, if you don't know automation, trust me, you're going to be unemployed.
Yeah.
So I think we are almost reaching the top of the hour. But before that, there were two questions that came from two viewers today. One student is asking about HNB IT students. After completing higher national diploma, can they join? That's one. And the other, Uma is asking whether a business information systems degree is eligible for this, and what are the type of programming languages that they need to have an understanding of.
Yeah. I think I'll go with the first one, where the students who are doing that HND, right? So I think you are going towards to become a bachelor's degree, right? So once you have completed the HND, you are one step closer to get your bachelor, right? So like I said earlier, there is a flexibility, Tivanka, right? So you can talk to us, right? Then we can see your skill, right? And then we can see what is your plan to complete your remaining part of your degree, right? So because all of our quality engineers, we are having this baseline where this bachelor's degree as a baseline, right? So everybody, you can join with a flexibility, but you should have some plan to complete that with some certain of time. I think certainly our HR team will help you to plan this out. So that's not a deal breaker, right? So when it comes to the other question, Tivanka, could you please repeat it again?
Yes, that was about a person who is going through or has a degree in business information systems.
Right.
And what are the programming languages that they need?
Yeah. I think programming language is not a factor that we should consider, because now there are many programming languages goes with double OP especially, and also there are automation frames tools supports all the popular programming languages, right? So that whether you are knowing Java or whether you are knowing C# or Python, that doesn't block you to learn automation, right?
And Chandima, if you can add a little bit about no code and low code related scenarios to the same question.
Yes, exactly, Divankar. Because that is the next part, right? Not knowing a certain level of programming language, still not a blocker, right? That's because of this, rich tools, frameworks available in the market, especially the open source tools, frameworks, right? So that we will teach you how you should automate things without raw programming, right? But you can plan your programming language, upskilling your programming language at the same time on a separate note, but still you can do automation up to certain extent, like 80%, 90% you can do with these low code solutions. But you need to know what are these tools, what are these practices, how you should do this, right? That's where our automation courses, we curated in a way that multiple options what I mentioned, right? Certain frameworks with low code solutions, certain with pro programming, so that even the low code solution you can extend programming by writing certain plugins, and you can get the full you can leverage the full from the tools by knowing programming. So knowing programming is something that you should do, right? But still you can start automation with less programming language, or if you wanted to brush up your programming language, still you can start, right? So that's the bottom line. Yeah.
So that is no longer a challenge. So if someone
no longer challenge, but I think like I mentioned, the commitment, right? Understanding this double OP concept is very vital. That's where that prerequisite is there, where we are actually seeking for bachelor's degree, where they went through a very rigorous from recognized university. They're having this rigorous approach to analyzing and evaluating their programming skills, right? So I think certain people might, they might have to brush up the knowledge, because they might not, day to day, they might not went through the program. But still, it's not a blocker as long as we have commitment and, yeah.
Right. And thank you so much to both Lalindra and Chandima for taking these questions and giving wonderful answers. So today I am with quality assurance or quality engineering professionals, and they are very much concerned about time and delivery. So we have actually reached the top of the hour. So, and I also have to abide and ensure that the quality aspect of this program is also in control. So in order to ensure the quality aspect is properly delivered, we are going to go towards the closure of the program. So you were with the webinar where we talked about building industry-ready quality automation engineers at QE 24/7 Academy, powered by Zone 24/7. If anyone of you is interested, please send your CV to the email address qetraining@zone247.com, and you will get to see the same on the chat box. And also, before you leave, we have a small feedback form, because we actually want to hear from you, because we are very much concerned about what you expect from us. So please do give us your feedback so we can do similar programs in the future, covering some of the areas that you would want us to talk about. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the time. So we have to go run for the dinner time as well. So Lalindra, thank you so much for joining and spending your valuable time for something in this nature. And Chandima, thank you so much for sharing your years of experience as a quality engineering professional. So we also look forward to having all of you in our program soon. So thank you, take care, and have a pleasant evening.
Thank you, Tivanka. Thank you, everyone.